People keep asking the same question: is America becoming Rome? They point to the debt, the endless wars, the broken politics, the shrinking middle class, the debased currency, and a population more entertained than engaged. The comparison feels unavoidable. It's in books, documentaries, podcasts, and headlines everywhere. And the comparison isn't wrong. But it is incomplete. Because Rome doesn't teach us whether empires fall. It teaches us how fast they fall when certain conditions are in place. And if you actually understand that lesson, the conclusion is uncomfortable. America isn't repeating Rome's collapse. America is compressing it. Rome didn't collapse because it lost one great battle. It collapsed because holding the empire together became more expansive than the empire itself. At its height, Rome needed massive armies stationed on every frontier. Not to expand, but simply to maintain control. Withdraw from one border and rebellion followed. Keep the legions deployed and the treasury drained. Rome was trapped. It could not afford the army, but it could not survive without it. America faces the same bind today. Hundreds of overseas bases, permanent deployments, and trillion-dollar defense budgets exist, not to win wars, but to prevent influence from slipping away. Pull back from one region, and rivals move in. Stay everywhere, and the cost compounds. An empire that cannot contract without unraveling is already in decline. Rome paid for that trap, the same way failing states always do. Not by raising taxes enough to cover the cost. Not by cutting spending enough to matter, but by weakening the currency. Silver coins slowly became silver-washed copper. More money circulated, but each unit bought less. At first few noticed, then prices rose. Savings vanished. Trusty road at America followed the same path in a different form. Once money was separated from physical limits, debt replaced discipline. Currency creation replaced restraint. Inflation replaced honest taxation. The mechanism is identical, only the technology changed. As the currency weakened, wealth concentrated. Late Rome wasn't poor, it was unequal. A tiny elite owned massive estates and controlled political power. The middle class collapsed under inflation and taxes. The majority survived on state support and entertainment. That imbalance didn't just create resentment. It destroyed social cohesion. Modern America shows the same pattern. Asset owners surge ahead while wage earners fall behind. Mobility freezes. Wealth compounds at the top, while purchasing power erodes below. An economy can survive inequality. An empire cannot survive entrenched inequality without fracture. Rome also didn't lack intelligence or capable administrators. What it lacked was agreement. Power struggles replaced solutions. Factions prioritized survival over reform. Short-term advantage replaced long-term stability. That paralysis made meaningful reform impossible. America's political system now functions the same way. Every issue is urgent. Nothing is resolved. Every reform becomes a weapon. Executive power expands because legislative consensus no longer exists. When a system cannot correct itself peacefully, correction arrives through crisis. To manage public discontent, Rome offered food and spectacle. It worked, temporarily. Free grain and endless games kept the population distracted, while the foundations weakened. Modern America doesn't use amphitheaters. It uses screens. Endless content. Endless outrage. Endless entertainment. A population that is constantly distracted is easy to govern until the system stops delivering. Rome also stopped replacing itself. Birth rates fell among citizens. Immigration filled the gap. Loyalty weakened. This didn't cause collapse on its own, but it removed resilience when stress arrived. America now faces the same demographic math. When population growth depends entirely on newcomers, while trust erodes, cohesion fractures under pressure. Rome didn't fall because its enemies suddenly became unstoppable. The Germanic tribes and Persian rivals were always there. What changed was Rome's internal strength. The borders didn't fail first. The center did. America now faces patient rivals who don't need to defeat it outright. They only need to wait. All of these parallels explain why people say America is Rome, and they're right to see them. But the parallels only tell you collapse is possible. The differences tell you the timeline. Rome moved at the speed of horses and ships. Messages took weeks. Markets adjusted slowly. Crises unfolded over generations. That slowness created inertia. Collapse took centuries. America moves at digital speed. Information travels instantly. Markets panic in seconds. Bank runs happen online. Trust evaporates faster than policy can respond. What took Rome decades can happen now in years. Rome also had an escape valve: expansion. When internal pressures built, Rome conquered new territory, seized resources, and bought time. That option is gone. The modern world is fully mapped, claimed, and interconnected. Financial expansion replaced territorial expansion, and it runs out much faster. Rome's currency debasement was visible. People could weigh coins. They could see the metal disappear. That visibility created resistance and slowed the process. America's debasement is invisible. Digital money looks the same regardless of when it was created. The damage accumulates quietly until trust breaks all at once. Slow decay turns into sudden shock. Rome was largely self-sufficient. It produced food, mined metals, and manufactured goods within its borders. Trade disruptions hurt, but didn't cripple the empire. America is radically interdependent. Efficiency replaced resilience. When supply chains break, shortages appear immediately. Fragility accelerates collapse. Most importantly, Rome's elite were trapped. Their wealth was land. Their status was local. If Rome fell, they fell with it. That created at least some incentive to attempt reform. America's elite are not trapped. Wealth is mobile. Citizenship is flexible. Exit is easy. When leaders can leave, reform loses urgency, and extraction accelerates. These differences all point in one direction: faster collapse. Rome's decline unfolded over centuries, because everything about its world slowed failure. America's world accelerates it. The mechanisms are the same. The clock is not. Rome didn't vanish overnight. It fragmented. Life continued, but poorer, more local, and less connected. America's decline will likely look similar. Not apocalypse. Not Mad Max. But rapid loss of status, purchasing power, and stability within a single generation. Rome teaches us that empires don't collapse because people stop believing in them. They collapse because the math stops working. Debt becomes unpayable. Currency loses credibility. Politics cannot reform. Inequality breaks cohesion. Military commitments outgrow resources. The only real question is timing. And this time, the answer isn't centuries. It's years. If Rome's collapse was a slow burn, America's is a flashover. Same structure, same pressures, far less time. That's what Rome actually teaches us. Not that collapse is inevitable, but that when the conditions are right, it happens faster than anyone prepared for. And this time, the acceleration is the story.